It's Monday, May 14th. Whoa. Monday, May 14th. And this is Guy's Daily Drive. Hello, daily drivers. You know, I'm probably going to stop doing that. I don't really think that could ever possibly become a thing, calling people daily drivers. Just because they watch this web show. Yeah, okay, I'll probably stop doing that. Had an interesting weekend. Went to my son Peter has a girlfriend named Liza who is just an amazing young woman, and I love her dearly, and I hope that the two of them remain together for a very, very long time. I'm gonna speed up here. So she was graduating from college. I talked about my plans as the previous shows, what I was doing, where I was going. So we went down to Fredericksburg to attend her graduation. And my son Guy also went there. And when we went to his graduation, it was, this is May in Virginia, which means it's typically hot, humid, chances of thunderstorms every day, so on and so forth. Not entirely unlike Florida, and there's a good reason for that. Both Virginia, Northern Virginia, and Florida were sort of swampy when settlers first came to the area. Now, there was a reason why people chose this area to put the nation's capital, and it was partially, not entirely, but partially because nobody else wanted the land for anything else. And in the days of, when we were still a British colony, owning valuable land was everything. Money was less important than owning land. Anyway, getting off the subject, as I am wont to do. So we go to the graduation, and when I'd gone to Guy's, this was my firstborn son, and I figured, okay, well, he's graduating. I really didn't know what the protocol was, so I got dressed up in a suit and tie, and we go to the graduation, and everything is outside because Mary Washington doesn't have a large enough indoor facility to accommodate all the graduates and all the people that show up for graduation. So everything is outside. And there's an interesting dynamic that happens during the graduation, which I'll get to in a second. So when I attended Guy's graduation, I'm in this suit and tie, and I was just miserable. I mean, it was just awful. The hot weather, and this just wearing a suit in general, which I don't particularly care for, just made it kind of miserable. So this time around, attending Liza's graduation, I figured, I'm going to go much more casual. So I wore jeans and a button-up shirt. And to the weather's credit, it didn't even threatened to rain, and the humidity wasn't as high, but it was much hotter. On the official temperatures, I think, were low 90s, but it felt much, much hotter. And there's no shade, so it's just beating right down on you. And something I saw that was interesting, I told you I was going to tell you about this later, and I am going to tell you about this now, is that all the people that gathered to watch their sons, daughters, loved ones graduate from college, the area that everybody was seated was reasonably full. They had enough seats for everybody. But as people's names were announced, you get the obligatory woo, or celebrate, something from the family saying, go Caleb, go, or whatever. And as soon as whoever it was that they were there for, as soon as their names were announced, they got up and they left. Not entirely, but they would leave the outside area that had no shade and was so super hot. Some of them, I'm sure, were just going to a shaded area, or there was an indoor facility that had a TV feed that you could watch the rest of the ceremony. Mostly in the early part, it was filled with people who hot weather is a danger to, or if they have some kind of physical impairment that would prevent them from being able to sit out in the wide open, especially with as narrow as the little corridors were where all the seats were. I mean, I almost fell over at one point. I stood up to let somebody go by, and my feet got tangled up in themselves. And people grabbed me as I was falling over. Felt like a doddering old man. So afterwards, we went back to Peter and Liza's apartment, along with it was Tracy, of course, and Liza's mother, who I've met on several occasions and is also a very nice woman, and her father, who I had never met. Her parents weren't together for various reasons, and I didn't ask. I know generally very, very general terms, but not enough to sit there and say, well, it was this and it was that, blah, 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 and honestly, it's none of my business anyway. But he was there, and her parents are from the Ukraine, so English is not their first language. Liza has no accent at all as far as what you would expect from someone coming from Eastern Europe. And and I have to admit that my bias, because of the television shows I watched and all that, is generally, and I know this is just awful, but it's if you've ever seen any of the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons, the main bad guy was Boris Badenov and Natasha, who are these, they never really say what country they're from, but it's obvious that it's Russia or someplace in Eastern Europe, just from the way they talk like this all the time. So that's and impressions, especially when you're talking about accents, typically have a kernel of truth. A lot of people from the South kind of talk like this, or something along those lines. Having grown up in the South, I've heard it all the time. Oh, people from New York, they got that accent there, and that's more Midwest, I guess. Depending on where you go, anywhere in the world, there's going to be some kind of accent or dialect that you, as being an outsider, aren't used to hearing. So when I first met her mother, it was a number of years ago, I could hear the accent. Her English is very, very good, certainly much better than any potential foreign language that I might speak. And I know from talking to a lot of people that English is not an easy language to learn. So, she does have an accent. Well, her father, who has lived in the United States for many, many years and has a business, does not speak a lot of English. His English isn't anywhere near as good as his ex-wife's. So when we went out to lunch, or actually even up to the point before we left for lunch, he didn't say a whole lot. The few words I did hear had the accent, but for the most part, when Liza or Liza's mother were speaking to him, it was in Ukrainian, which is understandable. That's the language that the three of them together, collectively, probably know the best. So, graduation is over. We all meet back at Peter and Liza's apartment, and the plan is to go to this place in Fredericksburg, and it's called Fish and Taco, or Taco and Fish, something like that. A fusion restaurant with very, very odd name. You may or may not get the reference, but anyway. So we're deciding how we're going to get down there, and then, to me it was like, well, this is brain dead simple. I have this large vehicle still, and it has a third row seat, and I can take and have taken up to 7 people, 2 in the front, 3 in the middle, 2 in the back at one time. So it was like, okay, well, we should go in my car, because there's enough room for everybody. There were 6 of us all together. And Liza has like a Honda Civic, so that was out. Liza's mom, I don't know what she was driving, but I don't think it was going to accommodate 6 people. And her father was driving a large-ish Cadillac, but would not have accommodated 6 people easily. And there's a little bit of tension, and it was like, okay, well, we don't want to do that. But he didn't want to go in my car. He wanted to take his own car. And parking in Fredericksburg, especially after a major event like a graduation, is a royal pain in the ass. And it just didn't make any sense to me. It's like, we're all going to the same place, and here's a car that's big enough to carry everyone. Let's go in his car. But Liza's mom and Liza were both like, Guy, don't worry about it. Just let him do his thing, because he's going to do that anyway, so there's no point in arguing. It's like, okay. So he's in his Cadillac, his great big Cadillac, and the 5 of us are in this car. And we go downtown Fredericksburg, find a place to park, and Liza had called this place before we left, and they were, oh yeah, plenty of room, not to worry, sit right down. We get there, place is packed, and obviously it had been packed for a while because there were people waiting to sit down. And it was like, okay, well, you kind of lied to us. You didn't tell us the truth. So we left. And there's lots of restaurants in the area, but most of them, big or small, by the time we finally got out of Fish and Taco, were pretty much either packed or a place that Liza didn't want to go. She was the graduate girl. She gets to decide. That's how it works. So her father's like, okay, I know where to go. And so we all start following him, and it was obvious within just a few minutes that he had no idea where he was going. He was just going from restaurant to restaurant, peeking inside to see if there was room, and then if there wasn't, moving on. And they finally stopped him. And it was like, no, we're not doing this. This isn't about you. And there's an area of Fredericksburg It's called Central Park. There's like just a ton of restaurants and a big mall that's on the other side of Route 3. I know nobody cares, but it's on the western side of I-95. As you go past Fredericksburg, Virginia. I don't know the zip code, so I won't bother. So Liza knows about this pizza place called Malawi, which is it's a country in Africa, or maybe it's a city. I can't remember. I mean, I went all over Africa, but I never went to Malawi, whether it was a city or a country, so I don't have any recollection off the top of my head which one was which. But that was the name of this pizza place. And that's where she wanted to go. So we went there. And it was really, really good. The hook for this restaurant is for every meal that they serve there, they serve a meal in Malawi. So, they use part of their profits to feed people that like I said, I don't know anything about Malawi, but I'm guessing that because of the setup that it's probably not an overly wealthy country. So that's what they do. They feed people here and then they feed people there. Good on them. But we get done with our meals, and he pretty much just up and says, "Okay, I'm going to leave now," and he goes. Liza and Liza's mom were not surprised in the least. I was, and I think Tracy was. Peter wasn't. Peter, who's had very little interaction with this guy, but knew enough from the few that he had and some of the stories that he'd been told that this was not unusual behavior. So he left. And I gotta say, I don't get it. I don't understand the mindset where everything has to be about you, especially on a day when your son or your daughter or your significant other has a major accomplishment, and you're there to celebrate that. So for one day, let it be about something other than you. So that's the lesson. It's not about control. It's not about what you personally will get out of whatever celebration is going on. Just let it be about someone else. Even if it's not a special occasion, or if they don't have a major accomplishment. If there are people that are significant in your life, sometimes why not take a step back and celebrate their life, even if there's nothing much going on. If you would like to get a hold of me, you can reach me via my email, which is guy@mymac.com or guy@mttfgo.com. You can also reach me on the Twitters. I am Mac Parrot on the Twitters. I have a Patreon page. Just look up my name, Guy Searle or Mac Parrot. Same thing with my Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com. Look up Mac Parrot or Guy Searle. You'll probably find me, probably. And that will about do it. Please join us. I'm going to start cutting down on the Mac stock stuff, because you guys have heard, if you watch this, you've heard all the pitches, and it doesn't really bode well for future viewings after Mac stock 2018 is over. Mac stock 2018, July 21st and 22nd, Woodstock, Illinois.
Illinois, just outside of Chicago. There's a coupon code, MyMac, which will get you $70 off the $249 price for the entire weekend for the conference, not counting transportation and lodging, of course, or food outside of the conference. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be there. Tim Robertson's going to be there. We're doing the MyMac quiz. So many of the people that you know and love from various Mac publications and podcasts and so on and so forth. So if you can be there, check it out. MacStock. Just look up MacStock 2018 online and you'll find all the relevant information. So again, thanks for downloading or streaming or however it is you're consuming this, most likely on YouTube. I really do appreciate it, and I will catch you next time on Guy's Daily Drive.